Hi, this is Terri Levine, the Business Growth Guru. Very often, people are looking in their businesses to hire new folks, new talent, and they're concerned about whether they should hire independent contractors or they should hire employees. And there's a lot of things that you need to keep in mind here. The first thing is that there's a big difference between an independent contractor and an employee. And it's very critical that you understand the IRS classifications of an independent contractor versus an employee so that you're paying and treating them the way they're supposed to be, because otherwise there are some fines and some penalties. What I'm going to discuss mostly today is how do you figure out who you want to hire, which is better for you and your business. I look at several things. Are you the type of a person who really likes to have a lot of control over knowing when people are at work, what times they're there, delegating their tasks and their responsibilities? Do you like to be a manager or a supervisor? Do you have the record keeping to do things like Social Security and Medicare and payroll taxes and all of those things? Or are you someone who prefers to have people who work on their own more independently? They work in their own hours, their own time, that hand you an invoice which you then pay, that you don't have to worry about handling their taxes, etc., where you're not paying sick time and vacation time and employee benefits. You really need to look at your own behavioral style first to see what fits better for you, but you also need to look at the needs of the company. In many cases, you may want to go in the direction of an independent contractor, which you don't perhaps need someone 40 hours a week or 30 hours a week, and some weeks you might need them 20, and some weeks you might need them 10, and when you do need them 40, you may have access to them 40. So it's important, number one, that you think about how you work best and really what serves you better as a leader, as a manager. And then secondly, what serves your company better? What functions better in your particular company, your particular organization? Very often, I will tell business owners to start with independent contractors. This way, you make sure that you really are happy with the work that this independent freelancer is doing for you before you commit them to a employee contract. So I want you to just consider that. I believe that's a good way to always start. There are some things that you have to take a look at behaviorally that are distinctions between independent contractors and employees. Again, there's control. If you want the right to control what the workers' hours will be and exactly how they do their tasks and when they do it, etc., then you need to hire an employee. But if you're more freewheeling, you can have an independent contractor. Financially, please also look at whether or not you have the funds to set aside for things like workers' compensation and Social Security, and perhaps in addition to really take a look at if you can afford benefits. And if not, if you're a newbie and just starting out personally, this is my business experience, I recommend that you don't do that. That you're just paying people on their work versus paying people for sick time and vacations and things like that. When we're just starting out, typically we just don't have that kind of lucrative income to begin in that fashion. And the third thing that I want you to look at is the type of relationship that you prefer to be in. Do you want to be in a relationship where you are controlling someone's time and someone's hours and managing them? Or do you choose to be in a relationship where it's more freewheeling, you're not dealing with things like pension plans and vacations and insurance? So these are questions that many business owners really don't look at. And I want you to look at this. I want you to look at it. And my suggestion, as I stated earlier, is that you always start out with independent contractors. And if they're doing a good job, you may offer them employment as an employee per se. You may choose to only use independent contractors. So a lot of times people say to me, well, this looks like a financial issue and I have to discuss this with my accountant. And that's all fine. But to me, the determining factor is you and how you function and what kind of a company you choose to set up. Remember this. You got into your own business because you wanted to make money, and typically because you wanted freedom. Therefore, you have the freedom to decide if you want to have employees or independent contractors. If the standard in your industry is to have employees and you want to have independent contractors, go for it. It's your business. I really want for you to do it your way. So while I definitely do take advice from accountants and financial folks, ultimately I look at how do I want to run a business. A little personal note here, in corporate America, I supervised over 2,000 people, and they were my employees, something like 2,800 people. When I started my own coaching and consulting business, I made a very major choice that I would never, ever be tied to employees again, because for me personally, I preferred not to manage, micromanage, deal with vacation and sick time and reviews. It just, for me, it didn't feel like a fit. That's why I'm asking you to look at what feels like a fit for you. And then the last thing I want to advise you is there's lots of websites that will also give you the factors that determine by the IRS if the person is considered an employee or not. And so there's things like you can't delegate the hours, you can't delegate the exact way tasks are done. There's lots of other things. So I want you to just go to an IRS website, there's lots of them, or just do a Google search and type in independent contractor versus employee, and just be familiar with the tax rules regarding this. I think that that's an important and smart thing to do as a business owner. So what kind of person are you, and what kind of company do you choose to run? It's all about having freedom in your business while creating the income that you desire and deserve.